So today I want to talk about fixatives because up until about a week ago or so, I had no idea that it even existed, and I want to make sure that you do. So let's begin with what fixative even is. Fixative spray is something that you put on your drawings once you're done with them or when you're layering in order to keep them from smudging. This is especially important if you're working with graphite or charcoal or even pastels. So it's actually very similar to how artists varnish their paintings once they're done. In this case, we're just spraying fixative to our drawings once we're done. So there's actually two different types of fixatives that you want to know about. The first is a workable fixative and the second is a final fixative. And as you can imagine, they do different things depending on the name. So the workable fixative is one that you will use when you are still in the process of drawing, you're not done with it, but you do want to keep it from smudging as you go along. Because we all know that feeling when we're drawing and then we lift up our hand and we got a bunch of graphite stuck on our hands. So a lot of people actually also use this to create darker dark. In other words, they'll lay down a layer of graphite and then they'll spray it with some fixative and then they'll continue layering until it creates a very dark, basically enhancing the contrast. Now, once you're done with your drawing, and what I will be using today is a final fixative because I am done with my drawings. I no longer need to layer them. I just want to preserve them, keep them from fading over time, and make sure they're not smudging. So I'll be using the final fixative. Now, one thing you will hear a lot of people say is to use hairspray instead of actually buying fixative because most of us have that laying around the house. The problem with this advice though is that it's really not great for preserving your drawings long term. Because sure, the hairspray will keep your drawings from smudging temporarily, but in the long run, it's probably going to turn your paper yellow, which, if you ask me, kind of defeats the whole purpose of applying fixative in the first place. So when you are looking to purchase fixative, just make sure that it's the right fixative for the medium you're using, as well as it says non-yellowing. Now, I actually did want to say all this outside while I was actually prepping my work. However, everyone and their mother decided to mow their lawn today. So for that reason, we had to do it inside, and I'm going to be doing a voiceover instead. So probably the most important thing about fixatives is that you want to be doing it outside in a very well ventilated area, preferably with a mask on because fixative actually can be toxic. Very similar to how you should be painting in a well-ventilated area with oils, it's the same thing with fixatives, so just make sure you're taking proper precautions. Now I gotta admit, this is my first time using fixative, so take everything with a grain of salt, but I have watched a lot of videos in order to prepare for this and kind of have a better idea of what I'm supposed to do. So one thing that I saw a lot in these videos is that people actually placed their drawings vertically. That's why I took my easel out and I put my drawing on top of that, just because in this way you're able to control more easily how much of the product is actually getting onto your drawing. So you just have more control. Another thing is make sure you know in which direction the wind is blowing, because the last thing you want is to spray your whole drawing and then just have it all hit you back in the face. So yeah, just take note of the wind. Now when you do go to spray, just make sure you're not super close to your drawing because you don't want to oversaturate it and basically destroy your drawing. So try to spray about 6 inches to a foot away for best results. Now in the video I watched, it was a RISD professor and she recommended that you only use one coat. Less is more, but of course I didn't follow directions and I did 2 to 3 coats. And honestly, I don't think it harmed it, and I think it just kind of depends on the fixative you're using and how effective it is in one coat. So to begin, I applied the fixative heading in just one direction, and then when I went to apply my second and my third coat, I made sure to apply in a different direction. In other words, if the first time I applied it going vertically, the next time I applied it going horizontally, just to make sure that I was getting every piece of my drawing. And so I basically just repeated the same process for all of my drawings. And now they're basically ready to be hung up in my room, which I am super excited about. They're no longer gonna fade, they're not gonna yellow, and it's not gonna smudge, which is fantastic. So if you're ready to feel like a professional artist, then do yourself a favor and get yourself some fixative because it will help preserve your drawings so much, and we don't want your hard work to go to waste. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye!